and it didn't work. It was one of those times where it just didn't work. So then we go back to the drawing board, and we're like, okay, why didn't it work? So we ring our doctor, Dr. Ringler, and he's like, oh, it's just the way it is. Sometimes it doesn't work all the time. And we're like, well, they were pretty low quality embryos, because that's what we found out before we did the transfer, that they weren't great quality. You get all these numbers. They always give you numbers, an 8, it's a 9, it's a, it's like, well, so you're always measuring and scientific values, and it's just like, fuck, is this going to work? And they're like, there's a chance it could work, But really, it was only 40% chance, or 30 or 40% chance it would work. Anyway, it didn't work, and then we found out that, and so Kath made this idea. She said, there's a thing called blastocyst stage, where you take this, the egg and the sperm have joined, and you can take them to certain levels. The further stage you can take them to is blastocyst stage, and anything that lasts to blastocyst stage is a really strong, I think they call them a zygote by that stage, embryo. Anyway, so you're like, they get to that stage, then they're a good chance of taking, but to make it to that stage, they need to be really strong. So Cass said, let's take everything we've got left, and let's take them all to blastocyst stage, and if they're really strong, we'll put them in. And so we did. We took them all to blastocyst stage. I think we had 8 left or something, and 2 lasted. 2 made it through, and so we put them into Casey. She just went down there by herself next time, put them in, and that was Archer and Luna.
Wow.
Yeah. So but we also found out that the reason the first ones didn't take was because they had an issue with, and this is typical science, like there's so many variables. The in the petri dish, the stuff they have in the petri dish which they were in,
protein or whatever. I don't know what it is.
Can't even think of what it is. Was wrong, and every transfer they'd done that day didn't work.
How the fuck did they do that?
I know. But that's science. That's what happens. So I was actually here. I was here when I found out. I was right in this space. Actually, I was standing about here, and Casey called, and Kath was in Mexico on a job, and she was over there shooting a Nestle job, and she called me, and she said, "Look, I'm not really meant to tell you this, but I knew straight away that these 2 had taken, or this one had taken, and I know I'm pregnant. I've done a pregnancy test, and I'm pregnant. They've told me not to tell you, but my levels are so high, I know I'm pregnant, and I've done this before so many times, I know I'm pregnant." And she goes, "And I think there might be twins." I was like, "Get out of it!" Mate, I was in here just air punching, just saying, "Fuck yeah!" It was unreal. It was the best time. It was actually one of the happiest times. Yeah,
that's massive.